Hi, everybody. I have to apologize. I'm very, very sorry. I have been neglecting my YouTube channel, and I am very sorry for this. Um, the past month has been a little crazy and a little hectic for me, so please forgive me. um, I know that in my last videos, I had said that I was going to talk about being disabled and being a burlesque performer and what that really entails, what that means, what that brings. And it kind of brings to the point what I had talked about in one of my first videos, which was talking about TBI. Excuse me, I have to move something because it's making noises. And where it comes into relation with being a performer and a dancer and a singer and what that really means. When you get into burlesque the way I did, which was as a singular person, it's difficult and it's hard, especially because sometimes you don't get the camaraderie that that comes with going to classes and being part of a group. And so sometimes you can feel alienated. But the other thing is you're kind of playing a guessing game on how your ideals of what burlesque is supposed to look like. And one of the great things about burlesque is that it's got so many genres, that allow you to kind of have a lot of creative freedom, seeing as there really isn't one way of doing burlesque. And I'm lucky for that because the way I was performing before and the way I am now is completely and utterly different from each other. Some of that has to play into the fact that I don't have a functioning arm. Now, in February, from now, less than 2 months away, will be 1 year since the accident. And when I got back into deciding that this was something I was definitely going to pursue, I had to have a very serious self-conversation with what does it really mean to be beautiful? What does it mean to be a good performer? Am I doing this right? And I constantly question myself on, am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? Many performers choreograph their numbers 100%. They are very precise and concise about what they're doing. They know every beat, when they're going to move their arms, when they're going to move their legs, when they're going to do any kind of bump and grind or anything along those lines. When you have a situation like mine where you have a TBI and your memory retention isn't all that great, you tend to, I don't want to say wing it, because that's not it at all, but you are not as inclined to choreograph numbers because stress is not helpful to traumatic brain injury, and it can actually cause you to go and have anxiety and feel disconnected. And so what I have learned for my personal, and this is just me, and I know other burlesque performers that are disabled and they completely choreograph their numbers, but this is just for what I have to deal with. I know that there's a certain amount of moves that I want to do, and I know what those moves are because they're kind of my tried and trues to what I can and cannot do. Now, when I get on stage, I am hyper vigilant on trying to make it so it doesn't look like I have an injury. I don't want to be known as the disabled girl who's also a burlesque performer. And my friend Jackie Box and I have had this conversation many a time. She is in a wheelchair, and she as well does not want to be the face of disability and burlesque community. It's a huge weight on your shoulders to be a small contingency and a very unusual group of people. And it has its upsides and downsides. I've been asked on several occasions why I don't highlight my disability more, why I'm not becoming like a spokesperson or advocate for more disabled in the burlesque community, which doesn't tend to have that very often, amazingly. And so there are people in burlesque communities, in the burlesque community, that have disabilities, and a lot of them are not physically noticeable. And for me, I look at it as a way of expressing myself and making me feel normal. So highlighting it isn't necessarily something I want to do. I want to be looked at for the quality of my performance and not applauded for being out there and being 100% true to my disability, or however you want to say it. So when I started going back to burlesque, my leg was not where it is now. And my leg is not 100%. I have good days and I have bad days. When it's a bad day, I walk with a limp and I use my cane. When it's a good day, you can't really see the limp all that much, and I don't need to walk with a cane. But one thing that is always going to be constant is that my arm does not work. My hand does, but my arm doesn't. And the tricks that I have learned to make it manageable are actually kind of very simple, very, very simple. For me, and I'll get up and I'll show you guys a little bit about it. There are moves that you can and cannot do when you don't have a functioning arm. One is you can only use one fan. You have to learn a new way of doing a stocking peel or a glove removal, because when you have one hand and it slides down your arm to take off one glove, and you take that glove off, the question then becomes, how do you get this hand to remove this glove? For me, it's a little different because I sing while I perform. So I can't stick a glove in my mouth and sing at the same time. So it gets down to things like using your foot to take off your now dominant hand glove. If the arm is down, and because my fingers do work, I can pull, but in pulling a glove this way, this hand comes up with it because it's just, one of those things. So you learn like little tricks like that. I know for a fact that I can put my arm above my head like this and still do all of this sexy moves like that. The other things that took me a lot of time, and I'll stand up to show you guys this, so you'll have to give me a minute. So, and yes, I am wearing a Hubba Hubba review shirt for this video. Things like taking my now dominant hand, taking it behind me, grabbing this arm, pulling it around, and if I pop my hip, I can actually use my fingers that do work to grab my hip, and that leaves that arm to stay there. It's also better if you have a bigger butt and you know how to arch my back. I have to arch very much forward to create a shelf for that arm to sit on. Things like that. Things where you literally have to go down your arm like this to make your arm look, and rest it on my hand on my leg. This leg is constantly popped. You can kind of see it like that. Oh, back up. You can see like that. So this hand will stay resting there where I can actually grab it, flip it, and take it up. things like that make it so that it's not so noticeable that it is not always functioning. It has its challenges. You see women doing a lot of beautiful fluid hand movements, or, you know, how to take off a bra. I have had to alter all my bras, either by taking the snap portion of the back of the bra and making it something else, like a tie or snaps, or a zipper, you know, things like that. That's stuff that is very difficult. I do a lot of my acts I tend to do with a chair on stage in case I get too tired and I have to alter the way that the performance will take one way or another. I'm lucky I can still do a lot of floor work and splits, though those do create their own challenges. But that's just kind of a little bit about what it's really like for me. And I note in every other video that I post, I am not an expert. This is just how I do things. You'll never see me, well, I won't say never. You will very rarely see me do any kind of hair flip because I have damaged my neck in the accident. So the idea of flipping one's hair back, like you see many beautiful performers do that have long, beautiful hair, I can't do that. That's the reason why I don't wear wigs. When I wear a wig, I want to flip it, and I'll cause myself some pain, and I don't need the pain. But yeah, so I'll get into it a little bit more, but this is kind of just the precursor on being disabled and a burlesque performer and kind of what it takes. I don't know what other things you guys want me to talk about when it comes to this. I can talk about my sex life when it comes to being disabled. I can talk about sewing when it comes to being disabled and show some examples and things like that. But really, I want to know what you guys want me to talk about. There's a ton of topics out there, but lately I've been having problems thinking about them. So if there's anything in particular you guys want me to talk about, it doesn't have to be about being disabled. It doesn't have to be about being a burlesque performer. I'm totally fine with being an open book about this. And I will probably, in a couple months, kind of talk about, on the anniversary of the accident, I'll probably recap a little bit about what it's like and the things that I've learned over this entire year. But yeah, so your guys' input is kind of key for me because I'll just ramble about nothing all the time. So yeah, let me know what you guys want me to talk about. And yeah, I've got shows all this week, so I may not get another video out this week. Maybe next week sometime, but yeah, let me know what you guys want, okay? Have a beautiful day. Here in Northern California, we've got a break from the rain, so if you're in Northern California, please enjoy the rain as it is coming back tomorrow. Okay, guys, have a wonderful day, and take care of yourselves.